The sky above Earth was clouded, darkened by the shadow of the alien ships that had come to claim the planet. For months, humanity had fought, hiding from the brutal invaders. The aliens had believed they would easily wipe out the human race, just like they had done to countless other planets. But as the days passed, something strange began to happen. The humans, who were once thought to be weak and vulnerable, were proving to be anything but. The alien invaders who called themselves the Y-Tar had seen worlds burn under their reign. They had destroyed civilizations and left countless species in ruins. Yet, Earth was different. The humans, though scared, refused to give up. They fought back with a strength and creativity the Y-Tar had never expected. But this wasn't just about survival. It was about something far deeper, something that the Y-Tar had failed to understand. Commander Vora of the Y-Tar watched from his ship as the last human city, once on the verge of collapse, now stood resilient against his forces. Their technology was primitive compared to the Y-Tar's advanced weaponry, but the humans had something far more powerful: determination. Every time the aliens thought they had won, humanity came up with something new, something unexpected. The humans were adapting faster than the Y-Tar had ever imagined. They used their environment to their advantage, setting traps and launching guerrilla attacks that caught the aliens off guard. It wasn't just about guns or bombs, it was their will to survive that made them so dangerous. The Y-Tar had underestimated them. Vora had seen many species fall before his might, but never like this. The humans didn't fear death the way other races had. They fought with a fire that made them relentless, their tactics unpredictable. Every corner of Earth seemed to be a battlefield, and the humans were always one step ahead. Vora's thoughts were interrupted by a loud bang. His ship had been hit. "Report," he demanded, his voice tense. His officers scrambled to assess the damage. A group of humans had somehow managed to infiltrate their ship's defenses, using nothing more than primitive explosives. Vora growled in frustration. "They are everywhere," he muttered. "It's not just their weapons. They are evolving." The truth hit him like a cold shock. The humans weren't just fighting to survive. They were changing. They were becoming something more than their biology had allowed. The aliens' advanced technology was not as superior as they had thought. Every time they adapted, the humans did too, but faster. What started as small victories turned into something much bigger, and Vora knew it. The humans were no longer just trying to survive. They were rising to the challenge in ways the Y-Tar had never imagined. One day, while Vora was trying to recover from another setback, he received a transmission. The humans had discovered an ancient technology buried deep beneath Earth's surface, hidden for centuries. This wasn't just a weapon, it was something much more powerful. It was a force of nature, linked to the Earth itself. As the humans began to unlock its secrets, the Y-Tar's confidence began to crumble. Vora ordered his ships to retreat. It was clear now that Earth was not a planet they could conquer. But retreating wasn't easy. As they tried to leave, the humans came after them with everything they had: fighters, drones, and even unarmed civilians who refused to let the invaders go without a fight. It was chaos. The Y-Tar had never seen anything like it. The humans had tapped into something primal, something deep inside their DNA that had made them unpredictable. They no longer feared the Y-Tar. Instead, the humans were chasing the aliens, hunting them down with a fury Vora had never witnessed. It was too late for the Y-Tar to turn back. Commander Vora had thought he was the hunter, but he was now the hunted. As Earth's forces closed in, the commander realized something terrifying. The humans weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They had evolved. They were fighting for something far more dangerous: their future. And as Vora's ship spiraled into the atmosphere, crashing towards the Earth below, he understood the most important lesson of all. The humans were the last species standing because they weren't just fighting to survive. They were fighting to reclaim their place in the universe. The last chase had begun, but it wasn't the Y-Tar who were chasing anymore. It was humanity fighting with all their might, with unexpected power, and with a fire that would never be extinguished. The invaders had come from the stars, cold and calculating. They had believed Earth would be just another easy conquest, a planet to take and leave in ruin. They never expected the humans to fight back, let alone to chase them. But as their ships darkened the sky, the Y-Tar began to realize something terrifying. Earth was not what they thought, and the humans were not what they expected. Commander Vora stood at the helm of his flagship, watching as his forces advanced over the planet's surface. It had been weeks since the invasion began, and the Y-Tar had expected quick victories. Instead, they found themselves faced with relentless resistance. The humans weren't afraid, and that scared the Y-Tar more than anything. "They're everywhere," Vora muttered to his officers. The humans, with their primitive weapons, had managed to strike at the Y-Tar forces in ways they couldn't understand. Every time they thought they had gained control, the humans would vanish, only to appear again in a new place, causing chaos and destruction. "They're not running," one of Vora's officers said. "They're hunting us." Vora's face darkened. "We're supposed to be the hunters. How are they finding us?" It was true. The Y-Tar had never encountered anything like this before. Their enemies had always fled in fear. They had always been able to track down their prey. But not the humans. Every time they struck, they left no trace. It was as if they had become ghosts, appearing from the shadows and disappearing just as quickly. No one knew where they were coming from, and no one knew where they would strike next. At first, Vora had thought it was luck that the humans were getting lucky shots in. But soon, he realized that it wasn't luck at all. The humans were learning, adapting faster than the Y-Tar had ever expected. They weren't just surviving, they were outwitting them. The Y-Tar's technology was far superior to anything the humans had. Their weapons could vaporize entire buildings in seconds. Their ships could traverse galaxies in a blink. But the humans had something the Y-Tar didn't: an unbreakable will. They fought for their home, their families, and their future. And that made them unpredictable. They were no longer the hunted. They were hunting. Vora knew he had to act quickly. He couldn't afford to lose control of the situation. His ships began to retreat, moving away from the cities that had become battlegrounds. But no matter where they went, the humans were right behind them, always one step ahead. The fear grew within Vora. He could feel it creeping through his mind, taking hold of his thoughts. The humans weren't supposed to be a threat. They were supposed to be weak, defenseless. But now they were everywhere he went, everywhere his ships moved. They were shadows in the night, slipping through cracks in his defenses, always watching, always waiting. Vora's thoughts were interrupted by a sudden explosion. One of his ships had been hit. He looked out the viewport and saw a human fighter, its sleek design cutting through the air with deadly precision. It had appeared from nowhere, striking without warning, vanishing just as fast. "How are they doing this?" Vora whispered, panic creeping into his voice. "They've learned our tactics," another officer said. "They know how we think." Vora's heart raced. He had underestimated them. He had thought the Y-Tar were the most advanced species in the galaxy, but the humans had turned the tables. Every time they thought they could escape, the humans were waiting for them. Every time they tried to regroup, the humans found them. Then came the bombshell. The humans had discovered something hidden deep beneath the surface of their planet. It wasn't just a weapon. It was an ancient power, a force that the Y-Tar had never encountered before. As the humans unlocked its secrets, the Y-Tar found themselves facing a new kind of danger. "This isn't just a fight anymore," Vora said, his voice trembling. "They're not just defending their planet, they're using it against us. The shadows of the Earth, the very planet they had invaded, had become their enemy." The humans were no longer just fighting, they were fighting with the very essence of their world. The Y-Tar had never fought against a planet that fought back. Vora watched in horror as his ships were attacked by unseen forces. The humans were everywhere, their presence felt but never fully seen. It was as if the planet itself was alive, protecting its people, and every time the Y-Tar made a move, the planet struck back. As the Y-Tar retreated further into the skies, Vora realized the truth: they weren't chasing shadows. They were chasing their own fear. The humans had become something they couldn't escape. No matter where they ran, no matter how fast they moved, the humans were always right behind them, always in the shadows, always waiting. Vora's grip tightened on the control panel. It was over. The humans had not only survived, they had turned the tables. They were the ones in control now. And the YTAR, for the first time in their long history, had met their match. The chase had begun. But this time, the YTAR were the ones being hunted. The YTAR had come from the stars, believing Earth would be another easy conquest. They had swept across the galaxy, conquering worlds, destroying everything in their path. But Earth was different. The humans had something the YTAR never expected, something they couldn't understand. It wasn't just their survival instincts. It was their ability to turn the planet itself into a weapon. The invasion began with fire. The YTAR unleashed their full might upon Earth, raining down destruction from the skies. The human cities burned, the earth trembled, and the seas rose with the fury of the alien attack. For days, humanity was on the brink of annihilation. But then, something unexpected happened. The humans fought back. Commander Vora stood in his command center, watching the chaos unfold. The YTAR's advanced technology had crushed the human resistance at first. Their weapons were far superior, and their ships could tear through Earth's atmosphere like it was paper. But as the days passed, the YTAR began to notice something strange. The humans weren't giving up. They weren't even running. "They're still fighting?" Vora asked, his voice filled with disbelief. How? He had seen species fall before. He had watched entire civilizations crumble before the YTAR's might. But these humans, they were different. They were not running. They were fighting. And every time the YTAR thought they had them cornered, the humans appeared again, stronger and more determined. As the YTAR moved across the planet, trying to force humanity into submission, they discovered that Earth itself was an ally to the humans. The humans had turned the very ground beneath them into a weapon. They had found ways to use their environment traps in the forests, underground tunnels, and even their cities as weapons. It was as if the planet was alive, helping the humans fight back. The YTAR thought they could simply overwhelm the humans, wipe them out, and move on to the next world. But Earth was not just a planet, it was a trap. Every step the YTAR took seemed to lead them into a new danger, and the humans were always one step ahead. The YTAR had underestimated the humans' connection to their world. As Vora watched, his heart began to race. The YTAR were not the hunters anymore. They were the hunted. The humans had turned the tables, and the alien forces were now running for their lives. But where could they go? Earth's very surface seemed to be working against them, closing in with every move. "We need to retreat," Vora ordered, his voice growing tense. "Get us out of here." But no matter where they went, no matter how fast they flew, the humans were there. They were waiting. From the mountains to the oceans, from the cities to the forests, Earth had become a trap. The humans were using the very terrain to corner the YTAR at every turn. The YTAR ships tried to flee, but even their advanced technology couldn't outrun the humans. One by one, they were picked off, their engines damaged by well-placed strikes, their defensive systems overwhelmed by surprise attacks. It was as if the very planet itself was fighting back. The YTAR had thought they were in control, but Earth had turned against them, and the humans had used it to their advantage. Vora's mind raced. The humans had discovered something the YTAR had never understood: the power of unity. They weren't just fighting as individuals. They were fighting as one, as a species united by a single cause: survival. And with the planet behind them, the humans were unstoppable. "Commander, we can't hold out much longer," an officer said, his voice shaky. "We're being outmaneuvered. We've lost control." Vora knew it was true. The humans had become relentless, and Earth had become a prison for the YTAR. They couldn't leave. They couldn't win. And with every failed attempt to escape, the YTAR were beginning to realize the truth: they were trapped. It was the humans who had been running for survival all along. The YTAR had thought they were the superior species. They had thought Earth was theirs for the taking. But now they understood that it was they who were the prey. Vora stood in silence, watching the destruction unfold. His ships were falling, his forces scattered. The humans had done the impossible. They had turned the invasion into a nightmare for the YTAR. And now, with their backs against the wall, the YTAR realized that Earth was no longer just a planet. It had become their prison. As the last of the YTAR forces retreated into the sky, Vora knew it was over. Earth had won. Humanity had turned their home into the ultimate weapon, and the YTAR had become the prey. No matter how fast they ran, no matter where they went, they could never escape. Earth was no longer just a place to conquer. It was a trap, and the YTAR had fallen into it. The alien invasion had begun with lightning speed. The YTAR ships descended from the sky like a storm, their sleek, deadly forms blotting out the sun. Earth's defenses were no match for the alien technology. In just hours, cities crumbled, military forces were overwhelmed, and the once peaceful world was thrown into chaos. It seemed like the end, but the humans, though shocked, weren't ready to give up. Commander Vora of the YTAR stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching Earth below. The invasion had gone better than expected, at least, at first. His forces had easily overrun major cities, capturing or destroying everything in their path. Humans had been running for their lives, their resistance laughable. But something was happening. The humans weren't just running anymore. They're organizing, one of Vora's officers reported. They're starting to fight back. And they're not afraid. Vora's face hardened. We must crush them quickly. They cannot be allowed to regroup. The YTAR were relentless. They had conquered countless worlds, leaving nothing but dust in their wake. No species had ever resisted them for long. But Earth was proving to be different. Despite the overwhelming force of the YTAR, the humans weren't just hiding. They were preparing for something. And it was clear from the reports that the humans were getting better at fighting. Vora knew that the humans' greatest strength wasn't their technology, it was their unpredictability. They had no idea what the humans were capable of. With each passing day, the resistance grew stronger. It wasn't just guerrilla warfare or clever tactics. The humans were adapting, learning, and using their world against the invaders. They'd begun to fight back in ways the YTAR couldn't anticipate. Vora scowled, his thoughts interrupted by the sound of a transmission. A YTAR scout ship had been destroyed. The humans had somehow infiltrated their defenses and ambushed the scout. The damage was minor, but it was a warning. The YTAR had not expected this kind of fight. They're not just defending themselves, Vora muttered, staring out at the burning cities below. They're hunting us. The realization struck him like a thunderbolt. The YTAR had always been the hunters. They were the ones who destroyed, who conquered. But now, for the first time in their long history, they were the prey. The humans had begun to track the YTAR forces, using their knowledge of the land, the cities, and the terrain to their advantage. The alien invaders couldn't hide. Every time they thought they had a safe place, the humans appeared out of nowhere. No longer were they running, they were chasing. It was a game of cat and mouse, and the YTAR were beginning to lose. Their ships had become targets, their movements predictable. Humans appeared in the shadows, attacking from places the YTAR never thought to check. Their cities became traps, their forests deadly jungles, and their underground networks hidden fortresses. Vora's frustration grew. We must strike at their heart, he ordered. Find the leaders. Cut off the head of the resistance. But even that wasn't easy. The humans were no longer a disorganized mob. They had leaders, warriors who knew how to fight, how to strategize. And they were elusive. The YTAR tried to hunt down the resistance leaders, only to find that the humans had learned to hide in plain sight. They didn't move in large groups. They moved in shadows. They adapted faster than the YTAR could counter. It was maddening. The YTAR had thought Earth would be theirs for the taking, but now they were the ones in danger. The humans had become the hunters. Every YTAR patrol that ventured out to reclaim the land was met with surprise attacks. Every move they made was tracked, every weakness exploited. Then, the unexpected happened. A massive explosion shook the ground beneath Vora's feet. A YTAR transport ship had been destroyed, along with several other ships in the fleet. The humans had planted explosives beneath the ground, triggering a massive underground attack that tore through the Y-TAR's defenses. The humans were everywhere, and now even the Y-TAR couldn't escape their reach. Vora stared at the chaos unfolding on the screen in front of him. The humans were no longer just reacting, they were anticipating. The Y-TAR had always believed they were the most advanced, the most powerful species in the galaxy. But now, it was clear that the humans were not only surviving, they were thriving. "We've underestimated them," Vora whispered. "They are not what we thought." The commander's face tightened with fear. He had seen countless species fall before the might of the Y-TAR. But this wasn't like those other worlds. The humans weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for something far more dangerous. They were fighting for their future, for their planet. And with Earth as their weapon, the humans were unstoppable. Vora's orders came quickly. "All units, fall back. We can't win this fight. Earth is no longer ours to control. We are being hunted." But it was too late. The Y-TAR forces were already in disarray. Their retreat was anything but orderly. The humans were closing in from every direction. No matter how hard the Y-TAR tried to escape, the humans were always there, always ready, always watching. The hunt had begun, and now it was the Y-TAR who were running for their lives. The sky was dark, and the ground trembled beneath the weight of alien footsteps. Earth was on the brink of destruction. The Y-TAR invaders had already wiped out most of the major cities, their advanced technology tearing through defenses like paper. Humanity had fought with everything they had, but with every passing day, the situation grew more hopeless. Yet, even in their darkest hour, the humans had one last card to play. This was the final run. This was humanity's last stand. Commander Vora stood at the helm of the Y-TAR flagship, looking down at the devastation below. It was almost over. The last remaining human strongholds had fallen, and the few survivors scattered across the planet seemed like nothing more than a fleeting memory. Vora had expected an easy conquest, but the humans had proven resilient. In the beginning, they had been unprepared, weak, and scattered. Now, they were nothing more than a nuisance. "They're still fighting," one of his officers reported, their voice almost sounding annoyed. Vora's eyes narrowed. They should have surrendered by now. It's too late for them. But Vora was wrong. He didn't know the humans like they knew themselves. The Y-TAR had underestimated their tenacity, their will to survive, and most importantly, their unity. Even as the Y-TAR began to sweep the planet clean, something unexpected happened. The humans stopped running. They gathered in what remained of the cities, in the hidden tunnels beneath the earth, and in the forests. They began to fight as one, using every scrap of their world as a weapon. They had come to terms with their fate, but they weren't going to go down without a fight. Sarah stood at the front of the resistance, looking out at the ruined city skyline. She had seen the destruction. She had watched the cities fall, her family lost, and her people scattered. But now, in this last desperate hour, something stirred within her. The humans weren't going to die without a fight. They would make the Y-TAR pay for what they had done. "We're not finished yet," Sarah said, her voice firm. "We have one chance. One final run." Around her, the remaining survivors of the human resistance nodded. The Y-TAR thought they had won. They thought Earth was theirs for the taking. But the humans had one thing the Y-TAR didn't hope. And with hope came the drive to make the last stand. The plan was simple: hit the Y-TAR where they least expected it. Sarah's team would infiltrate the last Y-TAR stronghold, the Central Command Center, and destroy their communications. If they could do that, the Y-TAR would lose control. The invasion would fall apart. The humans would get their last chance. As Sarah and her team prepared, Vora was already planning his victory. The Y-TAR forces had the humans cornered. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The Y-TAR had already dispatched troops to eliminate the last of the resistance. In a matter of hours, the final humans would be wiped out. Vora's mind raced with thoughts of triumph. This was it. The end of Earth. The end of humanity. And there would be no more resistance. The humans had fought valiantly, but they had no hope of winning. Earth would become just another Y-Tar colony, a new world to be shaped to their will. But Sarah had one last thing the Y-Tar didn't see coming. A secret weapon hidden deep within the heart of the planet. Years ago, when the first alien ships had arrived, Earth had begun to fight back in ways the Y-Tar could never have imagined. Deep within the Earth's crust, a force had awakened. A forgotten power, a pulse that had been lying dormant for centuries. Now, as the humans made their final push, it was time to unleash it. Sarah and her team infiltrated the central command center under the cover of night. With stealth and precision, they bypassed Y-Tar security, moving through dark corridors until they reached the heart of the alien base. The Y-Tar were unaware of their presence, caught up in their own preparations for the final victory. When they reached the control room, Sarah didn't hesitate. With one swift movement, she planted the device, the one that would send a pulse through the Earth, triggering the planet's final defense. It was a gamble, but it was their only chance. Back at the Y-Tar flagship, Vora felt the ground shift beneath him. The entire planet seemed to shake, a low rumble that reverberated through his bones. His eyes widened as the warning lights blared on his console. Something was wrong. The planet Earth was fighting back. "What's happening?" Vora shouted, his voice rising with panic. "It's the humans," his officer replied. "They've activated something. We can't control it." Vora stared in disbelief as the control systems on his ship began to fail. The communication lines went dead. The Y-Tar forces on the surface were cut off. The humans had done it. They had triggered Earth's final defense, and now the Y-Tar were powerless. Sarah's voice crackled over the communication system. "It's done. The planet's fighting for us now." With a surge of energy, the Earth began to push back. Massive earthquakes shattered Y-Tar fortifications, and great walls of energy rose from the ground, sweeping away their forces. The Y-Tar were no longer the conquerors, they were the ones being hunted. The tables had turned, and for the first time, the humans had control. Vora's hands trembled as he realized the truth. The Y-Tar were not in charge of this planet. Earth was fighting for its people. And now, the humans were making their last stand, using everything they had learned to turn the tide. The Y-Tar flagship was crippled, and their forces on the ground were scattered. The resistance was growing stronger by the minute. The humans had taken the final run, and they were winning.